Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Welcome to the Serene View. And today we're having a really special episode because usually, as you know, we have it on Thursday, but today is International Women's Day. And I have here with me a fellow superwoman, Tiffany. And yes, hi. And today we want to talk about the superwoman myth and why is it that we persistently believe we can be superwomen, and what is it that what is it that we want to do? And I think we are already joined by superwomen. Yes, right now. So Lila has said that she's looking forward to meeting all her other fellow super folk here, and so is Laurie, and she's excited to hear from Tiffany. So before we start, Tiffany, there you go. Now let's say she's a big fan of you.
Oh crap.
Well, Tiffany, come introduce yourself.
Okay, so first of all, the cat's out of the bag. None of us are super women, and it started that way. First thing, as Serena and I were prepping to do this live stream. And so I just want to share some crazy real life stories about what happened to us 5 minutes before it was showtime. So the first thing is I tried to log in with one browser and it said your camera's not working, and so I'm freaking out. And then I hurried up and downloaded what am I on now, Firefox. And then 2 minutes till I hadn't heard from Serene, and 1 minute till she comes on and she goes, oh my god, I missed my alarm, I can't believe I almost missed the show. And so this is real. This is who we are. This is the things that we face every day. And so if we were very rigid in our approach, this would have never happened because we didn't have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. And what we had to do was move into a state of like right now improvisation. And so as we start off with this super woman myth, I want to invite us to assess our own lives and ask ourselves, are we living this really highly rigid life, which is ultimately setting us up for failure? Or in what ways do we embrace a sort of lighthearted improv and move to a place where we can accept ourselves as the imperfect people we are?
Yes. Well, Lisa is here as well. Hi, Lisa. Hey, hey to you. Thank you. I love the name the Serene View too. Especially because as Tiffany will attest, I am anything but serene. Yes. And why are we okay? So today is International Women's Day, and for all of you women who are here with us on the show, happy International Women's Day to you. How did this particular like special episode come about? We were discussing, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, really about us as women and about how we are. I mean, what is it that we expect of ourselves and what is it that we want to do? And one of the things that both that yes, Lida says yes, she thought it's funny, but one of the things, and tell me if this is true, right? Tell me if you think this is true. Hi, Phyllis. But a lot of us expect ourselves to be superwomen. I mean, we were going through all the things we were disappointed with ourselves about. I mean, both Tiffany and myself. And one of the things we realized is that, oh my goodness, the level of expectation that we have about ourselves. I mean, just like off the top of the head, right? We expect ourselves to be, accomplished at work. We expect ourselves to be great household managers. We expect to, at the same time, be able to take care of our health. And for me, I have a child. I expect also to be a good mother. We expect to be also good wives, good friends to our friends, all of that. And then we wonder, why is it that we are not, we're not getting it all done? And when we are not getting it all done, we tend to feel as though we feel like imposters. We feel like, we are not as great as we think we are. I mean, how do you ladies feel? Is that something that resonate with you? Tell us about it, right? Meanwhile, hi Nikki. Hello from Wales. Yes. And Laurie says she used to be so rigid when she worked in corporate, and she used to get upset over tiny things going wrong. Last week, she's had 3 technical glitches, and you just have to do what you can, roll with it, and of course, laugh. Yes. And Nikki agrees, right? She thinks that, no, we are super. Um, I think that is true. How many women on this call is going to disagree that we are super? But yeah, at the same time, I wonder what kind of expectations we have for ourselves. I mean, what about you? I mean, Tiffany, those of you who are on the call, share with us. What do you expect yourself to do?
Everything. So I am mostly upset with myself because I am existing in a whirlwind state of disorganization. As I look around, I look at all of the piles of crap that I have to uncrapify, and the things that I need to do for my business, and how I need to be a good wife. I'm one of those people, husbands are needy. So I'm one of those people that love to give head massages to my husband, and that takes a time away from, I don't know, building my website, which is why it's still not launched yet. And, I have the demands of everybody else in my life. And I think, well, if I look online, I think about, I find that I get into like a mindset of comparing myself to other people. Like, look at the perfect life that so-and-so leads. Oh my gosh, like, why can't I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and run all the way until 2 a.m. and then get an hour of sleep and wake up refreshed and beautiful the next day? Without having to brush my hair or, take a shower, because that takes a lot of freaking time. And yeah, I get really hard on myself. And that's kind of a crappy place to be, because then I think, am I at my optimal state to create what I need to create in my life to be able to move the mountains that one day I will be able to do with my community of peeps? I don't know. What do you think, Serene?
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the agreements that are pouring in. Well, Nikki says that women can juggle but still need to choose. We will get to that, Nikki. Hold that thought, okay? Hold that thought. Laurie, she says that she needs her entire virtual co-working group last night to keep her focused on fun and to keep it light through all the technical issues with Canva, with email, with the computer. And she appreciated all of them, but she doesn't appreciate, she appreciated that she wasn't going through it alone. Yes. I think you and me and everyone else. Kristen also said hi to you.
Hey, Kristen.
Yes, Nikki says she expects that to be the very best that she can be. And I think that is such, how do I explain this to you? I think on the one hand, it's so undeniable. I think we all expect to be the best that we can be. And yet at the same time, I find it to be such a trap. Because what does it mean to be best? And I can tell you honestly that I haven't been able to give my best to every area of my life, because quite unfortunately, unlike Tiffany, or maybe unlike all of you, I have a limited amount of energy. I have a limited amount of, focus. And as a result, if I give like 100% in one area, that literally means I do not have 100% to give in another area anymore. And when you say, I've been told all my life growing up, like, do your best in everything. And then I grow up and I realize that it's just not possible. It's just not possible to do my best. I'm going to. There's a whole list of things. I don't know whether you want to comment on it while I show like all these people are, in agreement, right? To say that
Yeah,
it's ball.
super huge cojones. Yeah.
that she's her house is messy too. Tiffany has heard the testimonial from my son, who is now asleep, about how organized my house is. The brutal truth from a young child.
Yeah, that pile's been there for 2 years. Yeah. So true in my house. Yeah.
Yes, because Tiffany was saying that she has a mess for 2 months, and my son was saying 2 years. Never mind about 2 months. And no, agrees. Head massages are more important than websites. And that she's gonna have a. Oh, okay. So I think she was.
Would love it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, ladies, I can't show all of this coming in fast and furious, but I really want to show this one. And I want to ask you guys whether you all feel it's true that the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves to do what is, by another person's perspective, perhaps even inhuman, or perhaps even, beyond that. What do you ladies feel? Do you feel that it is an expectation and a pressure that you put upon yourself? Tiffany, what do you feel?
I want to go back for a moment to the 1940s during the last World War II. And during that time, what happened? We shipped half of our family off to war, and then there was a significant need for women to not just manage the household, but also to step out and take on additional roles. And I feel that's really important to point out because we are now 80 years into the future and we've been running, women's suffrage. I get it. Although what that has led to is perhaps women suffering because we're doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 1,000 things instead of just something so simply linear as manage the household and let my partner manage things outside the household. And so when we start taking on multiple roles, the question becomes, what are we then putting down? And for me, it is that inability to reconcile my life to know what it is in my heart of hearts that I can put down. What is it? Is it the mail? Is it the laundry? Is it the outsourcing of the 20% of doing my household daily duties? Is it paring down, really paring down and only focusing on that one thing that we need to do each and every day instead of the 1,000 that running task list? I don't know. How do you guys feel? How do you feel, Serene?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel exactly as you do. That's like what Nikki said, right? Choose, right? So choose. And I think she said it's good to bite off more than we can chew and it pushes us forward. But I will say this though, that I find this to be an extremely stressful way of living. As Lila says, right, we want the rights and responsibility that men always have, but we still expect ourselves to do whatever else we always did. And I agree with that. I mean, we women are now 70% responsible at home, even if we are holding down a job, same like men. Now, don't get me wrong. I have like no interest in going back to a world whereby women are allowed to work and so on and so forth. But at the same time, as women, I think we do need to choose, as what Lila says, right? Choose what we can chew and choose what we can put down. But are we right? So I was just sharing with Tiffany, right? There is a whole world. I mean, it's partly us, partly I think world expectations. I have a young child, and when I had that child, the amount of information about child rearing that was passed on to me. So, for instance, my sister shares all of her experience with rearing her child with me about, you should do this about kids and so on and so forth, that my husband's brother never shared with him. So as a result, who then becomes the primary caregiver of the kid? The one that has the information. And that's something then that I don't really like. Okay, if you tell me to pass it all off to the child, to the to the husband, like Nikki says, hand it over. Don't take the heavy load. I think I have a fear. I don't know how you ladies feel, but when I think about okay, passing it all on to the husband, I'm like, really? Can he manage? Now I'm sure my husband can manage it just as well. Perhaps it's just me, but I think I have this fear almost of letting go, and yet at the same time, I still want to build a career. I still want to be out there. And so it's like what Tiffany says, right? Wanting to hold on to everything and expecting that I should be able to do it. Um, and quite obviously, something has got to give.
So for me personally, I think it's important to recognize within myself that it takes a community. It takes a community of people that are willing to collaborate and work together, do what we need, set our own intentions, be able to talk through it and talk it out. I shared a conversation with a group again just last night, and someone was sharing a bad experience about somebody who had almost in a way kind of like attacked her and verbally, and she said, well, how do I actually handle that situation? I must pursue it. And it's like, no, at some point put it down, because from a matrix perspective, what's important, what is a good use of our time in that moment, since time is very finite. It could be debated, but time is finite. What are we okay letting go of to make space for things that actually give us the energy and vitality to live the life and do the things that we want to do? I don't know.
I think Nikki has got a great point. She says you are the cause of your problem. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. No, I by no means want to like. Okay, so let me put it this way, ladies. A lot of the times I think we beat ourselves up and we go like, oh, why are we doing all this to ourselves and so on. But I don't at all mean that we should start beating up on ourselves. That's not what I mean. But I agree with you, Nikki, because the day that I start to say that this is the world doing it to me, I lose agency over my own issues, and I stop being able to influence what is causing me problems. And I agree, right? Am I a control freak? Possibly. I was just talking to Tiffany before this, right? And we were talking about it and saying that, look, why is it that women have this need, right? Because I think in many areas of work and in many areas of life, women have to do more just to get the same recognition as men. And we get used to doing this. We get used to this kind of equilibrium where we have to do more just to be recognized the same as men. And as a result, we then expect more of ourselves. And it becomes this almost vicious cycle where societally that's our expectation. Society, that's the expectation we receive societally, and we internalize it, and it becomes something that we are. And yes, thank you, Lila. She says, we are not victims just of the expectation. We are the perpetrators. I told Tiffany this before we started. I said, I think it is both our fault and not our fault. I do think that there are some societal expectations, and I do think that we are still also perpetrating it ourselves, right? And it's about having, like Carly says, it's about having good self-awareness, taking responsibility for our life experiences. And I agree,
So,
right?
and one of the things that I want to share is, I don't know about you, but I always seem to underestimate the time it takes for me to produce and be involved in creating quality work. And like production to what end? Quantity of work to is it exercise in futility? I wonder, because if there's only, I don't know, say I can get 6 hours of work a day in, or maybe if what it really needs to be is 16 hours a day in of work. And this is work that I want to do, having, building relationships, having conversations with, just incredible humans across the world, and, creating my website, and I don't know, all these other stupid projects that I want to do. And stupid is, I'm being facetious. It's not stupid. It's great. But sometimes it feels stupid. And, reports for clients, for instance, something that I budget 5 hours for ends up taking me 12. And so my days seem to get away from me. And that is part of the problem, at least for me. And yeah, that's part of my own issue. Does it affect you, or is it just me?
Well, no, Phyllis agrees that, estimating time for quality work. Um, I I accuse Tiffany of this, right? So Lila says that it's okay for other people to have unreasonable expectations of us and for us to have boundaries and to communicate them. But actually, I accuse Tiffany of this, and I think I have it too, which is this streak of perfectionism almost, right? That we have to be so good, right? And I think that comes partly from, this need for us to do more just to be recognized the same, and partly also from our own, our own expectations of ourselves. Like women are told, right, that you can be anything you want, and when you look out into the world media, the expectations of women are ridiculous. I was just telling Tiffany about how all the pores of women in all the magazines are airbrushed off. Right? If you have no pores, you are either dead or not human. No pores. Yet in every single magazine, in every single woman, those pores are airbrushed, and they are not allowed to be seen. Right. So what is that? That image of women that we are seeing out in in the world, right? And as Phyllis says, right, we need a balance, but are we internalizing very unreasonable societal expectations of us as women? What do you expect yourselves as women? Right. Oh, okay, Nikki has to go. All right. I think that is wonderful advice, Nikki. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. And I agree with you. But think about it, right? What are the stuff that we need, right? We think we need an hour. We end up having 3 hours. Are we having a reasonable expectation? Do you find that you have a streak of perfectionism?
Totally. And so I was just having another call before this one, and it actually, in this conversation, we were talking about management, I don't know, creator, scientist, theorist, Frederick Taylor, who named and termed the term scientific management, probably back in early industrial revolution times. I don't know, history, right? I'm failing my people here. And the 4 steps were, the first thing is to plan. You have this strategy component. The next thing is to control it by implementing KPIs and OKRs. The next thing is selecting personnel for promotion, and these are done through 360-degree performance reviews, etc. And the final thing is like creating this camaraderie, and this is done through like pulse surveys and stuff. The problem that I see with this scientific management framework is, well, if I start from a planning, like step 1, plan. So I have to make my business plan, and I have to collect all of the information. And what this creates, and at least for me, is I never feel ready enough to test something, and so I get stuck in it's not good enough. it's not good enough. I need more information. I need more data. And then I never get to the control standpoint. And I mean, talking about creating camaraderie, it's like my end users, my stakeholders, they're like all the way down there. It's like the last thing that I consider. And so I think about the goodness that I've sort of ushered in my life over the last couple of months. And it's almost like flipping this scientific management way of existing on its head. So the first thing is creating camaraderie, developing friendships with people, really nurturing those relational aspects. Then I select people that I want to work with, for instance, Serene, right? Like, you're cool people, I like you. The next thing is, okay, like, then only then it's the testing aspect. And again, I'm going to flip another thing on its head. Fire, aim, ready is more like the approach we have to take, because then we're not really taking ourselves too seriously. We're, charting a course, we're figuring out the direction. And then once we are in the groove of the process of, kind of getting to the next step and the next step, only then will we ever be ready. But if I start from a place of feeling ready first, I find that I never start at all.
I'm not sure if any of you feel it. This feeling of I'm never good enough. I'm not good enough. I think Phyllis agreed that is perfectionism, and that the need to be perfect often leads to procrastination. Um, I don't know how you feel, but I think a lot. I personally feel as though I'm never good enough. I'm never enough. Put it that way. And I look around at the at reports about young girls, and it seems like this is something that young girls receive as a message from the world, that we are not enough, we're not good enough, that we always have to give more, we always have to do more, we always have to be more perfect. And it's really sad because it leaves a lot of women disproportionately, prey to something called imposter syndrome. Um, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it, but some of you may have felt it. This imposter syndrome is this feeling as though what the world thinks of us is overinflated, as though we are not, we don't deserve what we are getting, the kind of recognition that the world is giving us, and that we are constantly afraid that we will be, found out. And depending on what field you're in, perfectionism may not even exist. So for creative work, for example, what is amazing to one person can be abhorrent to the next, and there is never good enough. That's the best I can possibly do at this moment. Okay. And I think Laurie was saying that responsibility is a top thing, so she can relate to never feeling ready. She has to embrace imperfect action. You were going to say something.
Yeah, so Lila actually introduced me to this concept a couple of days ago about, okay, how can we start to work together to get you to this? That's done for now. It's done for now. I have put concerted effort into this thing. Perfectionism maybe doesn't exist. And so what does done for now look like for you, for me, for us? And I can change it tomorrow. I can change it in 5 minutes, but at least for right now, it's done for now. And I really like that.
I think Lila was no, was it no? Carly was saying that she doesn't work in the medical field. No one depends on my life. Unfortunately, even those who do work in the medical field are human, and I think it is really unfair to expect them to be, perfect. I think one of the things that people work in this kind of critical areas, whether it be medicine or piloting a plane, do is there is always a backup, right? There is always a backup so that there is a system to catch where errors may occur. But I think I mean, what we really wanted to discuss this time is what is driving women to expect so much of ourselves. What can we do to get to a state where we can honestly say that we are satisfied with ourselves, with our who we are, right? Look in the mirror and actually go like, I'm beautiful the way I am. Look at my work and go like, it's great the way that it is. Even look at our lives and go like, wow, we are doing good, right? How can we get to that point and genuinely feel that about ourselves? I don't know. What do you think, ladies? I mean, what have you found that is helpful for you, Tiffany?
Well, the first thing is that done for now philosophy. But the next thing is to lean into boredom. And I know that that sounds really contrary, but get out of this busyness syndrome, if you will, because we're our most creative when we have the space to do so, when we don't have all of these other obligations. One of the things that Serena and I spoke about a couple of days ago was what are we willing to let break? And at this point, I'm not really sure because maybe I'm existing in this and in a mind of still unwilling to relinquish some level of control. And another thing you talked about, okay, can we look at ourselves in the mirror? And really, it's like every time I look in the mirror and it's like, disgust. Oh, I could be so much better. And so I think this is a whole lot of things that I really kind of have to blow up in order to make something that might work for me down the line.
Lala says that she's happy that you love done for now. There's this hashtag done for now. um, and she said she has a friend who's a Marine, and she said that they sometimes make decisions quickly because sometimes life may depend on it. It says you make the best decision you can with the information you have at the moment. And you work with a female college student who is dominated by men, helping her with her public speaking, writing, and this Superwoman discussion is relevant. I mean, thank you for feeling that it's relevant, because I think it was really relevant to both of us, right? We feel like failures if we cannot meet up to a level of expectation that is superhuman, right? If we cannot be successful at work, great house managers, able to cook, great mother, great wife, great daughters, and so forth, right? And that we are really hard on ourselves. But I think one of the reasons, like we were both talking about, is partly this comes from a history where in the 1940s women had to do that. I mean, we had no choice, right? And because we picked that up without letting go of anything else, we are still in that state 80 years later. Secondly, I think the world does expect us to do more in order to give us the same acknowledgement as men. And we have kind of almost internalized um, that sort of crazy expectation of a woman who's fit, who's strong, who's capable at work, at home, in bed, I don't know, as a mother, everywhere, right? And I think we have internalized it.
So
And
the one thing that I want to add there is a lot of times I feel like I had a conversation with somebody recently, and they were saying that, oh, my life, I haven't been in a good headspace. I've been kind of negative. It's kind of been hard to meet up with you and really anybody in my life because I've just been kind of down and depressed. And she alluded to the fact that they were existing in a vacuum. They were alone. They felt isolated. And they said, yeah, just having this conversation with you, it really is like, it supports me emotionally. And I feel like that's something that I'm really missing. Maybe I just need, a companion or a friend, somebody to just go to the movies, hang out at a coffee shop, because what in my opinion they were talking about is really this aversion to address the elephant in the room, that we have this stuff that kind of needs to come out. And it's the same thing that they say like in exercise. I don't know who told me this. Maybe it was Serene, I don't know. This idea of when like people that work with like high profile athletes, one of the things that they say is like, don't breathe in. No, what you want to do is actually, the first step is breathe out. Breathe out all of that CO2 and, like all of that, what is harmful for your body. You need to get that out first, and then you can make space for the oxygen or whatever. Now, that is not my forte, so I might have butchered that altogether. But I feel like it's not just about taking in more goodness. No, it's about releasing that shadow side, releasing what it is that we are most pained by, so that we can encourage this like goodness, this joyful life. But that comes second to the release.
I wanted to show this from Laurie. I showed it just now, but I think we are all work in progress when it comes to giving ourselves grace, because I think a lot of us are harder on ourselves than we are on others. And it's like what you said, right? What do we need to release out of my life, so that I have the space? And for me, it's two things, right? One is not letting anybody else decide the priorities in my life, because oftentimes the world demands on me are internalized, and I end up picking up the demands from here, there, and everywhere, simply because I don't want to let the ball drop. So I step up, and that becomes an issue. Secondly, and I think I talked about, how do we work as women, right? The narrative out in the working world is this superhero, this great leader, inspirational leader, this great entrepreneur, this superhero narrative. But I don't think women have worked like that, right? Even way back, when women worked in the villages, we have always worked together. We've always worked in a collaborative, connected manner. And I think this sort of superhero or very individualistic way of looking at work and rewarding work works against women. Other suggestions from other ladies, right? Releasing the unreasonable expectations to make space for a life that is successful, joyful, and calm. Thank you very much, Lila. Phyllis talked about, by herself. Well, her dog doesn't communicate in terms. Oh, really? I could swap my dog. He's a better communicator than many people I know in my life. But okay, anyway. And these conversations are incredibly meaningful. Yes, connecting, I think it becomes really important for women. And when we don't have that, when we become isolated, that's when I think for a lot of women, we break down and we find it very, very hard to cope. Yes. Grace, right? So what can we do to show ourselves grace?
Let's see.
Am I putting you on the spot? Okay, I shall not put you on the spot. I'm happy to carry on, right? Yeah, because
I'm like, I don't, Grace, you're tasking me.
Like, my name is Tiffany. I don't even know this Grace person, right? I've never heard of her.
I have a problem here. Yeah. Major source of issue. Yeah, Grace, what is that word? Yeah. Because seriously, it's a hilarious fact. I mean, it is, right? We were laughing about, damn, maybe it's time to break out the disposable underwear. And really, these are real things that are being considered. Maybe we need to, find ways to like spray and wash my clothes instead of actually having to sort laundry, that kind of thing. And when the hell am I ever going to get to my piles? And so when you talk about this level of, releasing perfection, I don't know about you, but it just seems like a pipe dream. And so that's why I'm really clinging to this notion of done for now, because what if I can just break that task down, whatever it is, right? All of this crap right here, right? What if I could just break this down into I can work on that for 5 minutes. It's the same thing that we do for exercise. What's the least amount of time that I can commit to? This idea of these micro habits. And maybe that's good. Yeah, maybe it is. But how do I not get stuck in this guilt and shame loop? And so I don't know how to reach grace because I'm still stuck in this grace and shame loop. It's very negative, and that's the thing that I can't seem to get through in this moment. And yeah, grace, I don't know that girl.
Well, I think Lisa has this exact same feeling, right? She feels the same, that when she's by herself, she has to take a step back, and then she's struggling to even get back to where she was. And that's, I think, how some of us feel being hit by COVID, right? It's like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden we're at home. We're home with, I know some of you may be at home even with your extended family, or at home trying to homeschool like 2 or 3 children while you're trying to work. And then we struggle to even to get back to where we were, right? And I think that's exactly what Laurie says. We need to surround ourselves with women who support us, who let us know that it's okay not to be perfect, right? I remember having this discussion with my, group, right? My online group. And they were talking about, what are you going to do for this lockdown? Oh, we're going to learn a new language, lose 20 kilograms. I'm going to, really like take good care of my kids, spend quality family time. And I told them, look, if I finish this 2-month lockdown, sane, married, and, having not committed infanticide, I would be already very proud of myself. Right? I didn't kill it. I didn't kill my family. I still stayed married, and I'm still. Those were my like goals for those 2 months, right? And so if it was, whether it's disposable underwear, right, or whether working from home clothing is now optional. Well, I don't know about all clothing, but I think pants are kind of optional. I think. I don't know how many ladies still have bought a pair of pants in the last 2 years, right? But that's what it is, right? I mean, this is who we are, and this is what we are. This is real, right? I mean, we are not able. I am not able, and I think Tiffany agrees with us, right? How it is, and we actually would treat. I mean, what would we say to a friend who is in that situation? Or we go like, oh my God, woman, why do you have so much laundry, right? Or we go, right, so throw your way and, start using disposables. What will we actually say?
That's where I'm at in my life right now. And here's something, right? So I've started this little project for the month of March. I need to document what I'm doing in my life, right? Start to have, create a calendar where I am not a tyrant CEO, if you will. Instead, what I am is like a compassionate scheduler, right? And so for a long time, I was an executive assistant. So part of my role was, setting leaders up for success, and I was pretty good at it. But when it comes to doing stuff for myself, I recently realized 2 things. Gretchen Rubin is an author, and she came up with the 4 tendencies. So like, do we do what's expected of ourselves? Do we do what's expected of ourselves? Yes or no? Do we do what's expected of others? Yes or no? And so many women actually resonate with 1 quadrant, which is the obliger. We meet external expectations, but we do not meet internal expectations. And so I've been documenting what I've been doing in my life. I've been really focused on who am I being in these moments. So for right now, how I categorize my time with you, Serene, and everyone else, all of you, is this is my connection time. This is the time that I build relationships, because that's what fuels me. And so this, instead of it being some, I must get on here and do a live stream, right? Instead, it's I hate it because Serene goes, yeah, last time you did that live stream, it was terrible. You sounded like a robot. It wasn't you. Like, where is this conversational Tiffany that I know?
No, I stand corrected. I didn't say that. I said, Tiffany, I actually like you as Tiffany. I like you in all my conversations with you, right? So just be yourself. That was what I said, really. Yes.
Yeah, and I said, I can't, right? Because I have this feeling that I need to control what I say, and I need to not say like and and not sound like an idiot in front of just the world, right? The world. And the other thing is, for the month of February, I took a month off, and like every day, I was like, oh my god, I'm a sloth. I'm a sloth. What did I do today? I took a nap. I took a 5-hour nap in the middle of the day. I'm a sloth. I can't be living like this. I need to be productive. What am I producing? And sometimes I wonder if it's this stress response that limits my potential. I don't know. What do you think, Serene?
I asked Tiffany this, right? I think it was 2 weeks back. And I said, why do you feel the need to be extremely productive on your month off? I'm like, what's the definition of your month off, right? You are really tired, you're exhausted, you have taken a month off, and you feel the need to be extremely productive every day. I mean, that was, to me, it was shocking. But I think women are coming in with, what do we need to support ourselves? And I think we completely agree with you. Women who support us, women who give us that perspective to go like, girl, I think you are overdoing it. Girl,
look in the mirror, right?
Yes, you're doing really good. So that we can acknowledge even really small accomplishment, be grateful to ourselves, be grateful to all the resources that we have. Give yourself an awards acceptance speech in the mirror. Well, if I can look myself in a full length mirror and actually go like, Serene, you look good, I think that's already a start, honestly. And Lisa was talking about, sorry, this is COVID-19, right? COVID-19 is saving us on makeup and clothes. Yes. Are you aware that Zoom will give you makeup if you don't have it?
What?
Yes,
must be new Zoom, right?
And some days, we know we are doing well. Some days we feel like we are in the abyss. We are struggling with everything that we haven't done. And yes, let's be honest here. I have had those moments. I don't know whether if you ladies have had those moments. Those of you who are on the call with us, let's share with each other. Let's say it as it is, right? There are days, right? There are days when we beat ourselves up so hard to go like, I have 1,500 to-do lists. I have not gotten to it. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And even if we know that we've done our best. Right? Yes. And I think it helps, right? So this is what Leela says. It helps to hear what others are going through. And others are going through this. COVID-19 has brought us new ideas, new routines, the value of collaboration, but it has also been really challenging for many, many of us. And I think that for us to hear that, yes, it's also hard. It's also hard for us to hear that it is also normal to have a power nap in the day, says Lisa. A 5-hour nap in the middle of the day is a free spa, yes? And oh, okay, yes. Well, Zoom doesn't give enough makeup.
Yeah, right.
I told this to Tiffany, which is I gave up makeup some time back. I have really sensitive skin and makeup makes me break out. And so I think about 10 years or so ago, I gave up makeup. And guess what? None of my clients have noticed yet. So I don't know whether this is something that we are putting in, like the expectations that we are putting on ourselves. And sometimes we just need to shut ourselves down. Yeah. So all of this sloth spa,
for the win,
saving our shoes and everything. Yes. So
yeah.
tell us, ladies. I mean, how's life been for you, and what has really helped you, right? Whether it is saving on shoes or having a graceful slow spa, what has really helped you to be able to cope? Yeah. What has really helped you? Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes. No. We are not that miserable when we are together, right? Me and Tiffany. That's all it is. Yes.
Yeah, we laugh constantly, right? It's like it's like improvisation every day, all day. For me, I'll tell you what helps me. The first thing is some days, whereas Lila shuts her brain off with The Bachelor, I tend to shut my brain off and this non-gamer plays this game called Craft the World, and it's basically like a sense of control over all these little dwarves, and they get in all little parts of mischief, but the day can literally fall away. And I do the same thing with the mobile game, Plants vs. Zombies, until the ads made it all to shit. So here's to Plants vs. Zombies 3. And really just a nap reset. So nap resets me, taking a shower resets me, some cat therapy, it's real. The struggle is real. Sometimes you just need to give the cat a squeeze, and it makes the day better. But
I'm going to say, for those of you with no cats, sorry, I was going to say, those of you no cats, there are such things as dogs, kids, husbands, if you like them enough, boyfriends, certainly. Yes, and when all else fails, when you the one who said about two guys in a truck, do they allow hugs?
Yeah. Hunky two guys in a truck, right? And I don't know, maybe it's not an international thing, but it's in the US, and it's like, college hunks hauling junk. And I'm like, yeah, I need some college hunks in my life. Right? I'm kidding.
All right, let's not go down there. Okay, so these are some of the suggestions that's been coming in. So Carly West, the scholarly banana. Conversations like these, that's what Laurie finds to be very helpful for restoring balance. Lisa agrees with Lost. Yes, agrees with Laurie about what are you agreeing, Laurie? Okay, so the conversation that is refreshing, that is supportive, are friends. Friends like all of us, conversations that realize we are not alone. We are not alone. If you don't think you're doing well, ladies, welcome to the club. I think we all have days where we are totally out of whack, or we completely feel dysfunctional, where we feel as though, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? And actually it's okay. So Laurie says it isn't wrong to look. Okay, so for those of you who live where two guys in a truck actually is a real business, it isn't wrong to look, but it may be wrong to hug them without permission. Yes, that's what we want to say, right? We not encourage molestation of college guys here. Yes, no. Okay, so yes, you can only look. All right. Yes. And recognizing the value of having zero responsibility to anyone, or anything for some time each day has helped me. I just had this conversation with my coach today on International Women's Day, and I go like, I have really long days. Some days they go from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Yes. And then at the end of it, I still feel the need to, watch, play games, for example, or, read useless comics, or watch mindless stand-up routines for hours on end. And I asked my coach, I'm like, look, I know that, it's now 1 a.m. and my day starts at 7 a.m. next. I need to go to sleep right now and I am exhausted. So why is it that I am compelling myself to do this? And what came out from the coaching conversation is that I have a need for some time to just have no demands on my time, to just I crave for a period of time, a couple of hours where I can just do whatever I want. And, I don't have to show up to any of my responsibilities at home or at work. And that was what it is. And it made me realize that I now need to schedule this time in rather than have it eat into my sleep and sacrifice my health to fulfill exactly what you say, right? A period of time where there are no demands on me. And I'm not sure how you feel about that, Tiffany, whether that's also something that you have a need for.
Yep, and it normally happens smack dab in the middle of my day. But something I haven't seen come up is the importance of taking time and walking around outside. Because sometimes just the wind against your face and the birds chirping, it takes our mind away from the soup that we're living in, and it allows us to see the connectedness of everything. Really, it's the difference between how we feel in the middle of a bustling metropolitan city. I don't know, New York, DC, San Francisco, Singapore, maybe, I don't know, or and like going out and hugging a tree. Now, I'm not saying, oh, hippie lifestyle, but I am saying, what are the things that actually gets us into a more open, creative, expressive place? And I maybe think that some good old sunshine and a breath of fresh air kind of might help. Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I find time in nature to be so vital to myself. But I think I also find time connecting with women. Walking around outside, scheduling downtime. I really find time connecting to people to be absolutely vital. And I think that's one of the things I really missed about COVID-19. I really miss because of COVID-19, not about because of COVID-19. This sort of working from home rather than being out there, having a meal, talking to people, and going out into nature. Right. So right now we don't really have lockdown here. Here in Singapore, we could go out, but one of the things we do have is we don't have much nature in Singapore. I think most of us who live in metropolitan cities face the same thing. We don't have easy access to the great outdoors. So what do you ladies do? I mean, what do you do to restore yourself, to kind of give yourself a little bit of a balance when you feel that the world is just too much? For me, three things actually. One, definitely the connection. Like, so this spent talking to you. One of the reasons I do a live show every week is because I really enjoy connecting to people. Secondly, as you say, going out into nature or what scraps of nature I could find. The third thing is actually really, I find time that is completely, I don't know how to say this, completely irresponsible time to be very restorative, right? Time that I can use to do really stupid stuff that has totally nothing, to do with anything, right? I find that to be very important. Layla has to go. Yes. Thank you very much, Layla. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks
Lila.
for coming on. Yes. Any last words of wisdom that you want to share about before you go? Like, feel free to drop it in. The way I think Nikki did. Like, what are your tips, right? I mean, what can you do? And I think for me, the whole acknowledgement of I told Tiffany this last week. I feel like an absolute failure every time I drop anything. But the problem is I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, the bandwidth to do everything that I want to do, right? Which means something has got to go and something has got to give. And I look at all my life and sometimes, so for example, packing the house is goes instead of feeding my child, right? So I try to keep my child alive, even if that means my house is like an absolute hurricane that's just blown through it, right? What else? It means getting my work done is of a higher priority than, say, unfortunately, exercising, right? So sometimes I was like, okay, I have so much work, I just need to get it done, and something then has to give. And really, what are the choices that we are making, and how can we be okay that, hey, I'm okay not having exercise 1.5 hours every day as per my goal and dream in life, because I have so much work, I just don't have the time to do it today or even most of this week. Vash out and do something you enjoy, even if it's nothing. Yes, I agree.
So two things that have helped me. The first thing is, like I said, I've been sort of doing a day in the life inventory of how my day actually plays out. And it's very gratifying for me to look back and say, look at all those amazing things I accomplished. Because before, how I ran my calendar, for instance, was I only put the things that were unmovable. So that one appointment throughout the day, that was the big thing. And when I ran my calendar like this, when I would look at it, I would see all of this empty space. Like, what was I doing? I don't really recall doing any of that. So really, instead of like putting a schedule, really matching the schedule to the core areas of your life that you strive for, and it's different for every person. The other thing that I really struggle with is, I know you say take things off and take things off, but for me, it's like when I took the month of February off, for instance, I was still meeting with people and I was doing little UMAP coaching sessions and I was trying to create something. And in my mind, I think, God, I'm not actually producing anything. I'm not doing anything. And so it almost requires what can get you to a better place is almost having someone tell you, or recording yourself and then listening to how ridiculous you sound. Because I did that right on Friday.
Yes.
And then I went back and listened to it and I thought, oh my God, I have such unrealistic expectations. And I can say it and I can say it, but unless it's actually directly mirrored back to me, I can't see my own levels of absurdity. So those are the two things that really helped me.
I agree with you. I think the level of expectations that we place on ourselves, like this, especially if it's nothing, right? Sorry. So Laurie was the one who said, go out and do something, that you enjoy, even if it's nothing. And Carly agrees, especially if it's nothing. Having mindless time is vital for creative thought and inspiration. But I'm sorry to say this, right? I don't get creative thoughts and inspiration when I'm mindless time, right? No, seriously, when I'm mindless, I am actually mindless, right? And I think it is this. It's like Tiffany, right? On her month off, she was doing all of this thing, and she gave me a whole list of stuff she was doing, including starting a new podcast with me. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm so unproductive." I'm like, Tiffany, wait, hang on. This is your month off. You've been doing coaching session. You are trying to get a business started. Doing a strategy. Starting a new podcast with me, and you still feel unproductive. Like, what is this? Unrealistic expectation of ourselves, right? So when I have when I am, I don't know, watching Netflix, am I supposed to have creative inspiration? No, I don't, right? I literally, I am mindless, and that's because my days have been so packed that I just crave to have just a couple of hours where I am not responsible for anyone and anything, where I just can be almost like what Tiffany says, right? An irresponsible child. I can just do whatever I want and I don't have to care about it. And Carly says she journals what she does throughout the day so she can give herself credit for what she does. Otherwise, she assumes that she is a sloth. And I don't know why many of us assume that we are sloth, because I think women do more, and we do push ourselves fairly hard. And yet, a lot of the times we kind of feel, oh, we should do better, we should do harder. We are such sloths. And this.
What's that book that you shared with me the other day? What is it, like the Laziness Factor? We're not lazy.
Yes. There's no thing as laziness. Laziness does not exist, right? And this is what there's a whole book written on it. I shared it with Tiffany, right? It says laziness does not exist, right? And this is what I wanted to say, right, ladies? That sloth life, yes. But what I really want to say, ladies, I think this is what the whole show has been about, is this, which is we often have unexpected expectations of ourselves. Find a friend, tell them what it is, right? I mean, like me with Tiffany, or my coach with me this morning, tell somebody whom you trust and whom you know is supportive, right? So that you can get that perspective, get that perspective of whether it really is true that you are,
let's stop right there, right?
Yeah.
Get the trusted advice from people that support you, that care about you, that want for your best, not just anybody in the world, not posting about it for everyone in the world to see. Not that I'm saying there's anything bad with that, but I mean, there's a lot of trolls out there. So really be cognizant about who that information is coming from, and then rate it. Does it fall in line with my values, who I am, like me personally? Because sometimes, even though we get well-intentioned advice, it may or may not actually resonate with us. And so we take this bad information, or this bad for us information, and then walk around with it, and then it doesn't quite feel right, and it's all uncomfortable. That's a sign that maybe it's wrong for you. But the thing that's a constant, something that I see all around me, is the first step is communication. Maybe a little bit of vulnerability, but vulnerability from the people that support you and that want for your best.
And I think the other thing that we both want to say is we are all dysfunctional sometimes. I think we are all kind of dysfunctional in certain ways. The podcast we were trying to start is about dysfunctional women, right? Like dysfunctional women supporting dysfunctional women, because I think we expect ourselves to be functional. We expect ourselves to be like what we see on TV, but all of us are limited in the ways that we, in what we can do. And so there are certain balls that we will drop because we just can't, we don't have the capacity for that. So, we are dysfunctional. Most of us are dysfunctional in certain ways, and I think it is all right? So, yes, because we work from home, we don't shut down from work, and therefore we see everything that needs to be done around the house. Yes, you understand, Laurie. She did very well for a week of shutting down her computer and clocking out, but now she's back to working late, right? And then there's also because I see my child, I feel as though, oh my goodness, if I'm like focusing on work and I'm ignoring him, am I like failing as a mother? And so there's so much other things that comes in to play. But I think two things that we really want to say, right? One is, like what Tiffany says, get help from a trusted friend, get a recalibration of whether your perspective is really true, whether you really are an imposter, or whether you are doing better than you think. Secondly, let's face it, we're all dysfunctional. Who was it who said earlier on that some days she's logical and some days she goes into a tailspin, and she completely feels that she's failed. And that's exactly how we all feel, I think. There are either some areas of our life, like with me and house organization, okay, not happening there. With me and cooking, my husband has begged that I please do not go into the kitchen and avoid killing him and his son through great, kitchen explosions, like please. And there are areas that we are dysfunctional, and there are times when we feel down, and that is who we are. And I think it is okay, and we are all in it together. We are all like this. You are not alone. You are not, terribly bad in that sense. Thoughts, Tiffany?
The first thing is, what a rich dialogue we've shared together. This has been amazing for me. Thank you, Carly, and just Lila and Lori and Phyllis and Lisa, and just Kristen, the whole Motley crew, and thank you, Serene, for putting up with me. This has been an enlightening couple of weeks. And what I found is that I am surrounded by support, but the one thing that I have to be is open enough and vulnerable enough to share, first of all. Vulnerable. But, be open to share, and people are there to answer the call and do what they can, because people care about us. So let them help, I guess, is the main point, and realize that we're all damn dysfunctional. So just get over it, move on, and do what we can to live our best life.
And last comments from the ladies. So Phyllis says that she loves us all. Great. And then Carly says, thank you. Thank you all. And Laurie says, thank you, ladies. Yes, actually we thank you as well, ladies, for being here,
Yeah.
for sharing this with us, for sharing, how real and how true that is. Because I think it is important for ladies to hear this, to hear that
Yeah.
you are not alone, to hear that we are all like that. That if you feel that you have failed in this or that area of your life, you feel that you're not good enough, you feel that you're not doing enough. Well, we all do, and I think we all look at each other and go like, "Woman, you're doing great, you're doing fantastic." And even if we feel that of ourselves, and yes, Laurie says, "Bring back the
Yeah.
fun and discussion."
I love
Yes,
that.
and let's all be dysfunctional together. Let's all support each other in our dysfunction, and normalize it almost to go like, yeah, we are not superwoman. We are not able to be that level of perfection. And yes, we are impostering if we are aiming for that level of perfection. But because we are real women leading real lives with real responsibilities, as long as we are sane, we have not killed anybody. I think we should all rejoice.
Yeah.
Okay, so last,
Celebrate.
yes.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's worth celebrating sometimes.
Yeah. So last anything that you want to say? One last comment before we wind it up, Tiffany, or any of you ladies, one last comment before we wind it up. Any pearls of wisdom from Tiffany? No
Um,
pressure.
yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Uh,
No, I want to really just take a moment and share what's really going well in my life. So I've started these silent co-working sessions with a group. I'm like a yes, please, like let's go do that, and really starting to sit with being uncomfortable, because as I'm transitioning and pivoting and doing something new, being uncomfortable is just part of the deal. It's part of the testing and experimentation phase. And so for me, it's leaning into what's good, what feels good. Doesn't mean that every day is going to be a walk in the park. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is learn to increase our ability to sit in what might feel like a tidal wave of life, because we can endure. We can we can we can grow into we can grow into our time away, and we can do really great shit. And it happens when we're together and we're supported, and we have people that are willing to um, help support us in our journeys, because it's a collective journey, in my opinion. What do you think?
yeah. I agree with that. And so thank you so much for coming by. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you to all you ladies who come by. Um, I I mean, Tiffany and I are hoping to start something, a dysfunctional women podcast, a dysfunctional women community, that can really truly support women. And we hope that that can be the tribe, the village, the safe haven, that many women who are struggling alone are looking for, right? And yes, we can endure. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all for our session today. Next week, which is on Thursday again, Thursday, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and I am bringing on a gentleman. So this week we're talking about mental health for women. So I think it's only fair that next week we talk about mental health for men. So I'm bringing on a gentleman who's an expert about how it is wrong for men, and we are going to talk a little bit about that. So I hope to see you all of you next week. Thank you for coming by, and I hope this has been a session that's been beneficial for you. Right. So
Thank you, Serene.
thank you very much, and bye bye from us. Yes. Okay. See ya. Bye bye.